Ella Fitzgerald's voice had a way of lifting people out of their troubles. She made broken hearts sound sweet, disappointment sound elegant, sadness sound hopeful. Crowds adored her, musicians admired her, critics respected her, but Ella often felt like she lived her whole life inside other people's expectations, inside songs written long before she stepped onto the stage. Behind all that praise, Ella was tired. Not tired of singing, but tired of performing parts of herself she couldn't always feel. Every night she stepped on stage, she became a mood, a melody, a memory. Everyone wanted the sound of perfection. Few wanted the softness of the woman behind the microphone, the one who sometimes cried into her pillow in hotel rooms with wallpaper older than she was. One cold autumn night in 1953, Ella had just finished a concert in Chicago. The venue was full. The applause had been thunderous, long, insistent, demanding. When she bowed for the final time, the lights blinded her, the cameras flashed, and everyone wanted just one more photograph, one more autograph, one more handshake. Ella smiled gracefully, grateful for the love, exhausted from the attention. Her band planned to go out for a celebratory late-night meal, but Ella didn't want food. She wanted quiet. The inside of her chest felt heavy, as if she'd left part of herself on stage and couldn't quite get it back. As the venue emptied, Ella wrapped herself in a dark coat, slipped out a side door, and walked down a quiet street toward a jazz bar she had heard whispers about. The Blue Lantern. A place musicians went after their shows when they needed the comfort of dim lights, less pressure, and the company of people who understood the language of fatigue. The bar sat on a corner, lit by a single blue neon sign humming softly above the entrance. A few locals drifted inside, musicians with loosened ties, waitresses counting tips, a postal worker in his uniform. Nobody looked glamorous. Nobody cared to. Ella stepped into the bar without saying her name. She didn't remove her coat, didn't ask to be recognized, didn't want attention. She simply sat at a small table near the back, close to the old upright piano. A man behind the bar looked up, paused, and smiled in a slow, knowing way. Not as a fan, but as someone who sensed she needed silence. Ella nodded in gratitude. A waitress approached her table. "Coffee? Wine? Just hot tea," Ella whispered. The waitress smiled softly. "We have chamomile." Ella exhaled as if someone had opened a window in her soul. "That sounds perfect." The piano player was a middle-aged man named Henry, with a quiet posture and hands that moved across the keys like they were made of silk. He wasn't playing for applause. He played for the lonely. His songs were not loud or ambitious. They were steady, unfinished, patient. Ella closed her eyes and listened. It was not music for a crowd. It was music for survivors of long days. As she let the notes wash over her, she became aware of the man sitting 2 tables away. He had a journal open and a fountain pen resting between his fingers. He looked up from time to time and studied Henry's playing like a doctor listening to a heartbeat. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes and a soft jawline that suggested he had known both grief and calm. Ella kept her gaze lowered, taking slow sips of tea. After a while, Henry noticed Ella and nodded. Without announcement or fanfare, he shifted into a melody Ella had recorded years earlier. One she rarely performed live anymore, because it reminded her of a love she had lost. Her heart clenched. Nobody in the bar reacted. Nobody knew who she was. The stranger at the table looked at her gently, recognizing not the fame but the sadness in her eyes. Ella whispered toward the piano. "Oh no, Henry." "Please don't." Henry winked. Ella laughed under her breath. The stranger stood, not intrusive, and approached her table. "May I sit?" he asked softly. Ella hesitated, then nodded. "You're Ella Fitzgerald," he said, not loudly, not with shock, just quiet acknowledgement. Ella braced herself for questions, but instead he added, "I'm David." Ella smiled. Just Ella tonight." David smiled back. "Then I'll be just David." He wasn't starstruck. He wasn't trying to flatter her. He wasn't even leaning in aggressively. He sat in a way that respected her personal space. They listened to Henry play. After a moment, David said, "You came here to breathe." Ella nodded. "How did you know?" "Your shoulders," he said. "They dropped when you walked in." Ella laughed. "You study shoulders?" "Only when I'm sketching," David said, holding up his journal. Ella raised an eyebrow. "You're an artist?" "A bit," David said. "Mostly portraits, mostly for myself." "Why here, and not a gallery?" "Because I draw people who aren't posing," David answered. "Real people. People at the end of a long day." Ella stared at him. She liked him instantly. They sat in comfortable silence as Henry played a slow blues progression. David opened his journal and began to sketch, not Ella's face, but her hands wrapped around the teacup. "You draw hands?" Ella asked, amused. "I draw whatever someone is holding on to," David answered. Ella felt something stir inside her chest. After a while, David whispered, "I've listened to you for years, but tonight I don't want to talk about your career. I want to know, what does silence feel like after applause?" Ella exhaled, touched by the question. "It feels like remembering who I am," she said. David nodded slowly. "Applause makes people feel seen. Silence lets them feel real." Ella studied him. "You understand more than some managers I've worked with." David laughed. "I'm not trying to manage you." Ella sipped her tea. There was something romantic about their stillness. Not urgent, not desperate, not hungry. Just the warmth of two tired souls sitting near each other and letting the night take its time. Henry played softer and softer until the whole bar sounded like a heartbeat. David whispered, "Would you like to step outside for a moment?" Ella nodded. Outside, the air was cold enough to make her cheeks flush. The street was empty. A few taxis passed. The wind picked up the scent of rain. Ella wrapped her coat around herself. David stood beside her, hands in pockets. After a while, Ella confessed, "I love the stage, but some nights I wish someone would ask me how my day was." David looked at her tenderly. "How was your day?" Ella blinked. No reporter had ever asked that. "No one ever asks me that," she whispered. "I'm not no one," David said softly. Ella laughed, then felt tears surprise her. David didn't reach for her immediately. He let her cry without embarrassment, without pressure. She wiped her cheeks and apologized. "Don't apologize," David said. "People should be allowed to feel things after midnight." Ella leaned gently against him, head near his shoulder, not romantic in a hungry way. Romantic in a safe way, like two people recognizing each other without expectation. David whispered, "You spend all your energy giving comfort through music. Tonight, someone should comfort you." Ella closed her eyes. He slowly took her hand. Not pulling, not claiming, just holding. His thumb traced the back of her hand lightly, like he was reading a quiet secret written in her skin. Ella whispered, "That feels human." David smiled. "You deserve to be human." They stayed there for a long time, holding hands in the cold, leaning into each other under a street lamp that flickered like a tired memory. Ella felt warmth move through her chest. Not excitement, but relief. She finally whispered, "I don't want to go back to the hotel yet." "Then don't," David said. Ella rested her forehead briefly against his cheek. A soft, private closeness that asked nothing more than comfort. Just two people, without microphones, without spotlight, without history. When Ella finally returned to the bar, Henry winked and played a final melody, a lullaby in slow jazz rhythm. Ella sat next to David again. He placed his coat over her shoulders. She leaned against him and drifted into a half-sleep, safe, steady, present. There was no urgency for romance, only the kind of gentle intimacy that says, "I see you, I hear you, you can rest." Just before dawn, David whispered, "You're welcome here anytime." As Ella, not the legend. Ella squeezed his hand. "This feels like the first quiet night I've had in months," she whispered. "This night was yours," David said softly. Ella kissed him, slow, grateful, barely a trace. A kiss that felt like thank you, not claim me. David kissed her forehead back. No cameras, no fanfare, no scandal, no possession. Just one brief, unforgettable night of tenderness between two tired souls who needed each other for emotional warmth, not performance. Ella left before sunrise. She never saw David again. But whenever she sang a soft ballad late at night, especially the ones meant for empty rooms and aching hearts, some part of her voice carried the memory of that evening. The night when someone held her hand, listened to her silence, and let her be nothing more and nothing less than Ella.